We're back for section 11.3. Guessing this is going to be a two-part video. I think it just makes sense to split it up that way. So we'll talk about credit cards first, and then talk about loans. So anyhow, credit cards. I remember when I went to Michigan State, man, you couldn't walk to class without having somebody try to give you a credit card. They want you to have the credit cards, and they offer you all these big deals because they make money off of you. Um, Anytime you have one of these credit cards and you don't pay off your monthly bill completely, you end up taking a loan, and they're going to charge you um, something to be able to do that. And because they do this to so many people, they make lots and lots of money. And so they can offer you all these big deals like, whatever, um, because they make bank off of you, literally. So, anyway, the first formula, if you will, is a finance charge. So, a finance charge is anything that you have to pay that's more than what you borrowed. And so that usually amounts to two different things. Um, Many credit cards will have some sort of annual fee just to have the card, even if you don't spend anything. Um, but then the majority of the time, the finance charge is the interest that's paid on unpaid balances, right? If you leave something unpaid at the end of the month, they're going to charge you some sort of interest based on that. So basic formula for that is just the unpaid balance times whatever the interest rate is. And in these calculations, that's usually given as a monthly interest rate. So anyway, first example, calculate the finance charge for a credit card if you've got a balance of $391 and an interest rate of 1.75% per month. So in this particular problem, the unpaid balance is 391 and the interest rate is 1.75%. Remember, we moved the decimal spot over 2 spots, so that means 0.0175 is what R is. And if we multiply those together, grab that real quick moment. So calculator, let me turn my calculator on so you can see it. And that is 391.64 times 0.0175 is $6.85. So not a ton, but it's something. And these sort of things can add up. And if you've got multiple cards, right, now you've got $6 on one, $11 on another one, and before you know it, you've got kind of $100 of borrowing fees. So anyway, that's that. Another thing that is often done is that the finance charge is not based on the balance at the end of the month, but it's charged based on your average daily balance. So like how much do you have and all that sort of stuff. Otherwise you could like game the system and make sure everything's paid off right at the end, but you borrowed a ton and all this sort of stuff. So anyway, sometimes things are calculated based on how much daily balance you have over the entire month. And so the average daily balance would be how much did you owe, or how much was your balance on day one? How much was it on day two? How much on day three? If you add all those up and divide by how many days there are, that's the average daily balance. Now, a lot of times people don't calculate it that way because that can be pretty tedious to figure out what is your balance on this day, and then this day, and then this day, and then this day, and then this day, and add them all up and divide by how many days there were. And so, if you, I mean, a lot of times you might go 3 or 4 days without buying something, um, and then you buy something, and then you go another 8 days without buying something, and then you buy something else, and you have to buy gas maybe, and right. So there's this ebb and flow of how your balance changes over time. Sometimes a tool for that that's used is to put things in a table. And so here's kind of a full worked out example. We'll do another one in just a second. So you don't necessarily need to jot every one of these things down. But um, if you look at the details here of when owners owed things and all that and bought new things and when they made some payments maybe and so forth, um, that's summarized here. We have our original balance at the beginning of the month, and then we bought something, so our balance goes up a little bit. We made a payment, so our balance was down, but then we bought something else, it goes back up again. We've got our dates written in here. So, so we had 315 for one day and 315 for another day. And then after we made a payment, our balance became 343. So we had 343 for a day, 343 for another day, 343 for another day, and so forth. Theoretically, you could, make a giant list: 315, 315, 343, 343, 343, 293, 293, 293, 293, and you could add all 31 of those days or balances up and then divide by how many days there are. But that's pretty tedious. So what's done instead is you have your amount and you multiply it by how many days you were at that amount. And you have your next amount, and you multiply that by how many days you are at that amount. And then these totals you can add up, and that can be divided by 30, and that'll give you your average daily balance. And it's the average daily balance that gets multiplied by the interest rate to see what you get charged. Anyway, I encourage you to, if you need to, pause this and kind of read through that, but we're going to do a full example of this now. So, all right, so we started the month off with a balance that we hadn't paid off from last month. So that's $620. Put that in here. And that was, start of that month was March 10th. So let's put that as our date. And then we made a few more purchases. So on March 15th, we made a purchase. And so that was $214. On March 30th, we made a purchase. And that was $67. And then on March 22nd, we made a payment. So I just realized that's before March 30. So let me actually rewrite these down here. And on March 22, we made a payment, but we didn't have enough money to pay it off entirely. So let's put into our table here, since our balance is going to go down, let's subtract $200. So 620 was our balance at the beginning. After we made a purchase, now we owe 800 and something. 620 plus 214 is 834. Then we paid off some, right? We maybe we got an extra shift at work, and that'd be a nice extra shift. But we got an extra shift at work and got $200, and so we decided to put that towards our credit card balance. So that's going to be subtracted. Now we're back to 634. And then we made another purchase. We had to buy gas, right? So $67 is what, half a tank of gas. Um, and we can put that in as, um, what is that, 701? I think if we add. And now we got to figure out how many days were we stuck at 620 and how many days were we at 834 and so forth. So from March 10 to March 15, um, that's the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, um, and the 15th we got a new balance. So that was 5 days that we were stuck there. Little shortcut, you can do subtraction, right? 15 minus 10. Then we were at 834 for 7 days between the 15th and the 22nd. Then from March 22nd to March 30th, we were, so that's what, 8 days? We were at that 634 balance. And then it says that our payment is due by April 10th. So let's put that in there and figure out how many days were we left at 701. And so there are 30 days in March. So that's 10 more days where we stuck there. And that's 5 and 7 is 12 and 8 is 20 plus 10 is 30. That's the 30 days between March 10th and April 10th. Great. So now let's figure out what each of these little totals are. That's a multiplication. Then we'll add those all up. That'll be kind of our grand total if we took 620 plus 620 plus 620 plus 620 and so forth, right? Kind of grand total. We need to divide that by 30 days to get the average amount. So that'll be a little bit of calculating. Let me bring this back up on the screen and see what we can do. How do I get that thing to go away? There. So 620 times 5 is 3,100. And 834 times 7 is 5838. 634 times 8 is 5,072. And 701 times 10 is 7,010. Goodness, there we go. 7,010. Now I'm going to add those all up a moment. So 3,100 plus 5838 plus 5,072 plus 7,010 is 21,020. And now I'll divide that by 30 to get my average amount. So 21,020 divided by 30 is $700.66. So that's our average daily balance. $700.67. Now, we have to pay $701, but we would also need to pay some interest on this. So 1.5% per month. So 1.5% times 700. That is 767 cents times, not 1.5, but move the decimal spot over 2 spots, right? So 0.015. And let's do that final calculation here. 767 cents times 0.015. So that's an extra $10.51 for carrying a balance for the majority of the month like this. So I'm not sure that I want to put a moral to a story or anything like that. But um, generally, if you do have a credit card, you don't want to carry a balance. You certainly don't want one at the end of the month, but it's not even wise to hold one, for a long time and then just like pay one card off with another card because um, many times the calculations are based on your average daily balance, anyways, so you're not really getting anything out of that. So, anyway, that's a little bit about how credit card calculations are made.